Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a new episode of the Spiritually Inspired show. I am your host, Claudiu Murgan. For older episodes, please visit Oraverse Network, our YouTube channel, or spiritualinspired.ca. My guest today comes from Austria, and she is Silvia Resnik. Silvia, thank you for accepting my invitation.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited.
You are a professional, or you are a professional that went from kindergarten teacher to HR professional to entrepreneur and certified coach.
Yes.
Looking back, was there a thread connecting all those roles, or did each feel like a completely new beginning for you?
I would say there is a red thread because it has all to do with human behavior. So kindergarten teaching, so you have to take care that the kids develop in a good way. You have to support them. Then in the human resource management, again, you have to work with people. You have to see, my role was also always to see where can they develop, do they have their strength, where can I support them. And now as a coach, it's the same. I support people, I guide them. I don't really like the term coaching so much anymore because I feel like coaches, they tend to present solutions, and I don't do that because I figured through my own journey, if you have somebody who's telling you what you should do, it takes away this finding out yourself, finding your own way, and experiencing this finding yourself. So you take away a lot of experience from the people. So this is why I see myself more like a guide. Yeah. And
And
yeah,
I like to call myself a mirror for those I'm talking
yeah,
to, because when they talk, I reflect that energy back to them and
exactly.
their thoughts will clarify much faster.
Yes, exactly. And that's the point. Because when you're alone, you don't see specific things. The mirror is missing and the guide who's asking questions maybe, but it's never about giving you a solution. And that's why, yeah, I don't like the coaching term so much.
Yes, and I know, like most of us, you had the chance to check all the boxes, fulfilling career, marriage, beautiful home, yet feeling an inner void. How long did you live with that void before you began to act on it? And what gave you the courage to act on it?
Actually, I always had this void in my this feeling of void in myself, and yeah, in the beginning, you try to do things, you try to go to university, and then you think, okay, and when I have my degree, and then everything is fine, and when I have the job, everything's fine. But in 2020, I couldn't really do that anymore. So I was always also struggling with depression, with melancholy. So I was always a little bit, yeah, on the darker side, I would say. And in 2020, my mom, yeah, we went to this woman. She is a spiritual woman, and she told me that I'm an alone born twin. And I was like, that's crazy. I mean, hello, why could she look at me and say that to me? And my mom, she went quiet, and I was like, Mom, what's wrong with you? And she told me that there was indeed, in the beginning of the pregnancy, there was a second dot on the ultrasound, and it vanished at one point. And in the 80s, nobody was talking about those kind of things. So she said she always had the feeling there was supposed to be two, but what could she say? So yeah, and later on it just developed and I went more into it. Yeah, found out more about what was missing. So it was my sister, then the purpose, and then you get there at one point.
I mean, your story gave me goosebumps. I knew about your sister throughout my research, but I
Mhm.
wasn't aware. And I wanted to ask you, at what
Yeah,
age did you find out that you just shared that with us? So it's very late, or not
yeah.
very late, but late in life that
Mhm.
you had this discovery about yourself and your family. And now that you are on the spiritual path, much more
Mhm.
deeper, have you had the chance, or have you tried to connect with that lost soul of your sister?
Yes, I did that immediately, to be honest. I also went through a hypnotherapist and I wanted to connect with her, but that did not work. Only last year, throughout my really big spiritual awakening, I would say, I really connected with her. I was talking to her basically. I mean, before that, I felt her presence, and how can I say that? I yeah had these inner child work journeys where I met her, but it was not really like last year where I really was face to face to her. I could see her energy, and yeah, I realized that she's been with me all along, and I was basically always looking outside. She was always here with me inside, and I think that's also very, very common in a lot of people. They always look outside when actually what you have to do is turn inwards and focus on what's inside.
And do you have the feeling that you missed out on all these years without knowing her? Did she try to reach out to you before and you're not paying attention?
I'm sure that she did that because I always had this magnetic drawing to twins, and I always was looking for a friend or somebody who can take this role, but it's impossible. So I think she was sending me signals, but I didn't realize them, to be honest. And now it's like, yeah, she's always with me, so we are connected. Yeah.
And how did your mother react to this type of spiritual connection? Is she aware? Is she connecting with her as well?
Yeah, my mom is also spiritual. I would say not as spiritual as I, but she immediately felt that this is true, and so she told me, yeah, there's no doubt that this is true. You could test it, by the way, nowadays. Maybe I do that one day, but for me, it's just a reality because for me, I felt this. How can I say? I felt the consequences all my life. Even as a child, I remember there was something. Yeah, I didn't feel whole, basically.
Interesting.
Mm,
And also, your life changed again when you went to Zanzibar. You had that connection with the Maasai. And
mm.
how do you see that connection looking back after a number of years?
It's again a next step of awakening, I would say. So this twin of that I had found my twin sister. That was the first part, and then the second part was really this the meeting the Maasai, because again I was so devastated. I was having depression again when I went there, and then after a few days I met the first Maasai, and who are still friends, and they opened up a whole new world to me. They showed me how their life is. They shared with me we went to local restaurants, so they shared everything with me. And then in the last 3 years, I really went a lot to the Bomas. I spent time with them. I learned from them. And also this connection. I mean, it's a completely different language and I don't speak it so far. But this human connection without even speaking the same language is so intense and so touching, and I still get goosebumps when I think about it. So yeah, they cracked something open in me. They gave me back my happiness, and I'm forever thankful for that, to be honest. Yeah.
Yes, and their style of living is very basic. They are very close to nature. And I know that other tribes throughout Africa have various ceremonies and
Mm.
customs to take their young ones from childhood or early age to manhood or womanhood. Do they
Mm.
have something similar that you can share with us?
Yes, actually, this year there were some celebrations. If I'm not wrong, it's called Ainuto, and it's basically again a transition from childhood to adulthood, and they do circumcision from the boys, but also from the girls, and this is also something that maybe or not maybe this is one of the most important things that I don't really enjoy about this culture, because I think it's just very cruel to circumcise a woman, and they slowly stop doing this, and they slowly start to introduce different practice or a different ritual, but it's still very common, yes, and this is really the only thing that breaks my heart, to be honest. Yeah.
And I know all these practices were on display in the 2005 movie The White Maasai that
Mhm.
describe the story of Corinne Hoffman, who visited Kenya
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
80s and 90s, and she lived there. She had a daughter, and she tried to protect her daughter from going through this type of
Mhm.
initiation, let's call it.
Yeah, it's so she was, as you say, in Kenya, she was with a Samburu, which is basically almost the same, not completely like Maasai. And yeah, it is indeed. So nowadays they start to do it with the very young girls because it is forbidden in Tanzania. But some in some areas they still try to do it. And but the awareness is still coming. You know, you have to come with education, and I do understand it in a way why they are doing these kind of things because they have to endure this pain without any painkillers, without any medication. So they just prepare mentally. And when you think about where they are living in the bush, you know, and for example, the men, they have to fight a lion. If the lion attacks them or attacks the cattle, they have to protect them. If they get injured or whatever, they cannot just say, "Oh my God, now I'm injured and now I give up," because then their life is, you know, it's over. So they have to endure pain. They have to go through this, and they have to still, yeah, be able to protect themselves. So I do understand the pain part of it, you know. But again, for the guys, it's just skin. And for the women, it's really a very important organ, a very important part of a womanhood, you know. And it's not just something, it's some skin.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. It's not easy. I
yeah,
don't think it's easy even for men. It's still pain involved, but
yeah.
I'm sure they have various modalities to mental modalities, in fact, to suppress that pain. But overall, it's still something that can go into our body and get stuck in
Hmm.
a different form that later on
Yeah.
can become a disease. Who knows?
Yes. So with them, it's for example, they start very early with burning marks. For example, I don't know if you have seen the circles and here in the middle,
Yes.
or they also take out the teeth, one teeth, because they say when you have a medical emergency, then you can feed the people through this hole in the teeth. And so this is how they prepare step by step to get there. And it's true, they are really, they can control their emotions very well. But again, with the women, maybe they find something else. Yeah.
And I know that, before tourism was a source of revenue for them,
Mhm.
they had to live off the land
Mhm.
completely. Have that balance changed in the last, let's say, 10 years? Do you see them relying more on tourists coming to their neighborhoods and their tribes, or they still, that component is still a small source of revenue for them?
So it depends on the area, but it's getting more and more difficult also because the government in Tanzania, they want to, yeah, to get rid of them. They want last year or 2 years ago, President Samia, she wanted to take away their right to vote. So she's trying to get them out, to push them out of Ngorongoro area, and it's difficult for them, to be honest. They face a lot of backlash in within the country, although the country depends heavily on them because the Maasai are the most famous tribes. You know, I mean, every advertise you see from Zanzibar, you see the red people on this on the beach, the Maasai. Although it is not their, so they usually don't live on Zanzibar, so there are also foreigners there. And there are also tensions between the Zanzibaris and the Maasai and other people from the mainland. So it is not so easy for them because also no education, you know. Then Samia, she also takes away not only the schools, she also takes away the hospitals from the areas where she doesn't like the Maasai to live anymore. So it's a very difficult situation for them. And my goal is also a part. So I started this project to stop FGM. And a big part of it will also be education. And I'm not talking about another school putting the system that we have onto them. So it's just more about teaching them the basic skills, you know, like reading, writing, English, what happens when I sign a contract. So they are able to do the important things in life, how to do a business, how to calculate everything, those kind of stuff. So they have the abilities to survive in this new environment. Yeah, that's the goal.
Indeed, very helpful. And I'm going to ask you a rhetorical question. Do you know why this worldwide obsession with the governments to destroy the natives? Have you found an explanation?